one of the reasons we've gotten as good as we are is because everyone's been kind of allowed to just grow and change in the way, and we haven't stayed too, close to the original idea. I mean, if we were still... Sometimes I see bands and they're still talking about the same records that, they were when they started, and those bands are boring, So if we were still like, oh my God, it's like, it's boring now, I still love it, but it's like the Smiths or something, It's like I don't want to throw that on, It's boring now.
What's your favorite albums at the moment?
Right now, the one album I kept listening to over and over again on my iPod was by Townes Van Zandt, and which really surprised me. I didn't, because I'm not really a country guy, but something about him, I swear, actually, he almost is funky, especially on this one record, the late great Townes Van Zandt. The drummer reminds me of the drummer from Al Green or something. He's just like so steady and so cool and almost funky.
Who's the drummer?
I don't know. But that was pretty much been my most listened to one, and I've been going through a big Neil Young phase as well. I just read the book about him, and so I was kind of like discovering. I knew most of his records, but I was discovering the ones that I didn't. And
he played with Rick James in a very big.
Yeah. And and you know that he would do like a harmonica solo. He'd be playing a harmonica solo and then toss it up in the air, and Rick would catch it and finish the solo. How would you like to go in a time machine and see that?
Come on, that would be it.
Yeah. I downloaded a couple of the songs too. They're not bad. They're very kind of early Stonesy, Like Rick is definitely trying to be Mick. Like it's definitely like whatever. But yeah, it seemed yeah.
But what kind of, or what albums with Neil Young have you been into after reading the book?
Well, I never had really checked out Freedom, which is from the 80s. I kind of wrote off all his later stuff. So that one's actually great. It's
I never resigned.
Are you a fan?
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
No, then get it. It's really, really great. Because of course, after the Gold Rush is Masterpiece, and I really was into Zuma a couple of years ago. That's fantastic. But the record did kind of make me understand Tonight's the Night a little more.
In what way?
I think I got turned off by the second and third song. If you put your bummer songs early in the record, it kind of turns you off of the whole record. I don't know, I just got more into it. I mean, it's very interesting how they made that one, because they were just getting completely wasted, and they barely knew the songs, and he wanted it like that, which when you compare it to the way the rest of the 70s sounded, and especially his contemporaries, sounds very everyone was getting nice clean sounds. 70s was great for soft drumming and stuff, got really great sounds, but he just went for trashy it's very punk in a way, but these kind of sensitive songs and stuff. So it stands out in the 70s, I think, and even in his records, it's pretty much one of his trashiest records. But yeah, I really like that.
When you read and when you read things like that, and then you also listen, so do you reflect on your own work?
Oh, of course, you have to. I mean, you're always seeing what. Everything that you meet in your life, you try and work into your art or whatever, So of course, if you're reading about a musician, much less your favorite one, you kind of, and it's interesting. It's interesting also reading where they go wrong, and seeing kind of because when you look at an artist, you're like, yeah, I don't really like those records. But when you read their book and you find that go through the whole arc of their career, before that, I read the Iggy book and seeing that and seeing where.
Paul Trinka's.
What's that?
Paul Trinka, the Offer.
I'm not sure. It was called Open Up and Bleed.
Okay.
It's brand new, kind of just out. And that was really great as well, actually. And seeing, and Iggy's just a classic. When he was doing too many drugs and and he didn't have a band he was really connecting with, he made a bad record. Duh, So it's kind of inspiring because you makes you keep on track and realize seeing where other people went wrong helps you stay on track.
Because it's very you don't have a good education to being a musician when you have to learn what other people already have learned, maybe.
Yeah, totally. And And especially with Neil, like those records he made in the '80s, it's like the first ones where he got sued by Geffen. It's like he tries to defend him, but when you read it and you listen to him, it's like, no, he wasn't really like getting to the heart of a song here. He was kind of a little bit full of shit at this point. You know, he's made that, like his electro record. People say it's like kind of like rockers don't want to diss it because they think maybe it's actually good because they don't understand electro, and electro people don't like really want to diss it because they don't get Neil Young. But as someone who gets electro and Neil Young, I'm saying that record's bullshit. You know, it's just garbage. It's not very good songs, and he's just riding Kraftwerk's nuts. Like, he doesn't innovate anything. You know, he copies shamelessly on it. You know, it's really, which he doesn't really do on his records. You know, like, it's not copying on After the Gold Rush. You know, so. But it is so it is interesting to see where people went wrong and be like, okay, note to self, don't do that. You know.